Hey, I'm back. Indeed, but there's one more thing I need to do for you. What do you mean there's one more thing? Not this again. Oh my goodness. Oh my. Get this off me. Now that I got that out of the way, hey guys and girls, it's me, Rocket, and today we're going to be reviewing Wonder Woman 1984. So without further ado, let's get into it.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Ready for liftoff, super Daniel Rocket. Ready for liftoff, super Daniel Rocket. He's ready to go. Review movies and shows and other stuff too. And sometimes the lack of food and our fantasy that really gets crazy to do the skits as well as the short films because he's super Daniel Rocket. Get ready for it. So as always, when it comes to new releases, we're going to start off with a non-spoiler review and then we're going to go on to some spoilers. So yeah, I was really excited for this film when I heard about the trailers and all the information about it like a while back when the movie was set to release somewhere in July or something like that, but of course it got delayed to the holidays and here we are now. And I wasn't really expecting that much even though I was excited for it, even though it's a sequel to one of the movies that stars one of the main heroes in the DC Trinity, which of course is Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. But yeah, even though in that case, I don't think it was going to be a movie that's going to absolutely change the DC universe in a big way or something like that. And I was kind of correct after I watched the film. This does focus more on the stories that are only within this movie and not really branching out from all the other superhero movies that we have already in the universe, like the Batman or Superman. There's not really much references to that. But what's even weirder about this is that even though this is technically a sequel to Wonder Woman back in 2017, it's technically not. Even though Steve from the previous film is, still here in this film, there's not much really that is kind of following up from the previous film. It's mostly focusing on the new stuff that is happening in this new film. Not even Themyscira isn't really mentioned in this film, besides like a few bits and pieces here and there, and also in the opening, which is for some reason available to watch for free on YouTube on the Wonder Brothers channel. I don't know what's going on there. But anyways, this kind of means that instead of this being a sequel to the previous Wonder Woman film, it's basically more as just a new adventure starring Wonder Woman, which it's totally fine because this isn't the first time this kind of happens with superheroes. Batman technically did it back in the past with, Batman Returns, Batman Forever, and Batman and Robin, with only a few references to the previous films here and there, which is technically what this film does as well. So yeah, it is kind of interesting to see this formula back because we kind of usually go with the whole, following up from this previous film, the aftermath and all that. You barely kind of see this kind of formula anymore, so it's kind of interesting to see it back in, action. And you can definitely tell this from the presentation alone because it's a lot more brighter and a lot more colorful than the previous Wonder Woman film. And it's understandable why, because this takes place in a time period where, a certain alien hasn't arrived and crash landed on Earth and then later on in the future destroys an entire city with his fellow alien bad guy person. So yeah, it makes sense. You can clearly tell from Wonder Woman's suit alone because it has never looked so brighter. And if we're talking about presentation, I have to bring up Hans Zimmer, which of course is the music composer for this film. Of course, you heard his music in Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, Madagascar, and just like those films, he definitely made a lot of epic music for this film, which makes a lot of the scenes in the film a whole lot more epic than it already is. So yeah, I'm glad that he's back in the DC Extended Universe, and hopefully we'll see him in other projects, not just Wonder Woman and the other superheroes in the DC Trinity. So if you're gonna go watch this movie, think of this as kind of a warm-up movie, I guess you can say, because it's not that much craziness going on here compared to probably a lot of other movies that are going to come out soon in 2021. So think of this as a nice warm-up movie before we go into a lot more craziness in the future, because it's been a while since we watched superhero movies in the cinema or at all maybe. So yeah, I think of this as a nice warm-up movie. Alright, so that's it for the non-spoiler review. So without further ado, let's cue the spoiler warning. I mentioned in the non-spoiler review that this movie focuses on the story elements that are going on in that film only and not really branching out from the rest of the DC extended universe. But even though that's the case, there's a lot to unravel in this film. There's a lot of storylines going on at the same time. But the only way to make this work and to make it go smoothly is if all these storylines actually have something similar, something in common. For example, there's this film, I don't remember what's the exact name of it. I think it's like Happy New Year's or something. And yeah, there's a lot of storylines going on at the same time. I think it's a lot more than this film. But the one thing that makes it go smoothly and, makes it, easy to understand and whatnot is because all of them still focuses on one similar element, and that is New Year's. And in this film, it's the Dreamstone. The whole thing with Steve coming back from the dead, it's because of the Dreamstone. The whole motivations of the main villain, it's happening because of the Dreamstone. The whole motivations of the other villain, Cheetah, yes, that's happening because of the Dreamstone. So yeah, and there's one more thing to make this whole work a lot more smoothly as well, and that is if the storylines you're actually showing in this film are actually good. So for my opinion, yeah, I think they're pretty decent. The main motivations of the main villain is kind of something we've seen in previous films. He basically wants to become all-powerful, but not powerful like, shooting lightning powerful, no, like just business powerful, to prove to his son that he isn't a loser. Again, we've seen this in previous films, but it does kind of work in, with the whole Dreamstone element in mind here. Cheetah's story is very similar to the main villain's story, but the only difference here is that she got what she wanted and she really wants to keep it, and all of this kind of got to her head and whatnot, and her heart that she usually has is kind of gone away because of it. So yeah, she has to let it go. And as for Wonder Woman, she has to admit to herself that Steve is truly gone and he's actually not really going to come back at all. Because if she still believes that Steve is still there, well, Wonder Woman is kind of hurting herself both figuratively and literally in the movie's case. Oh yeah, and one more thing I also realized while talking about these storylines is that one more thing to make these whole storylines go smoothly together is that if they all have a similar lesson to learn afterwards, because yeah, from all these storylines you can learn that you have to accept reality to what it is and not trying to cheat your way into trying to believe it's something else, because if you do that, you kind of lose something you really need in return. One thing I want to mention about the Cheetah is that this is a completely new origin for the Cheetah in this movie. It's nothing we have seen before in the comics. I know this might lead to people going like, oh, why do they have to change something from the original source material? But you gotta understand, sometimes they do have to change a few things to make it go a lot more smoothly in a movie, and actually towards it actually benefits the movie and make the movie a whole lot more better. Joker is the biggest example of this, so yeah, this movie does it pretty well. Also, I'm surprised that they decided to make Cheetah good in the end. Well, not really good, I guess, just like, stop being the Cheetah, I guess, but yeah, it's a bit weird because Cheetah is technically the equivalent of Joker for Wonder Woman. But hey, I mean, the Joker was killed off in Batman '89 and Batman felt completely fine afterwards. Well, for a while at least. And now, little stuff about the movie that I really like, but they're not really important to the review, but they're pretty cool, so I'm gonna mention them anyways. I love that Hans Zimmer decided to put the music A Beautiful Lie from the opening of Batman vs Superman, because it just fits so well, because of course this movie involves around lies and, not believing in the reality that you live in. And the shot itself that the music was playing is literally, the main villain doing the similar pose and in a similar situation to young Bruce Wayne in the opening of Batman vs Superman. So it fits so perfectly. It's also pretty cool to see Wonder Woman flying in the film now. Of course, we've seen her flown in the comics as well as in other types of media. So it's finally time to see her fly in the film. And I'm pretty sure we're not going to be getting the invisible jet from the comics. I mean, I'm pretty sure the invisible plane is all we're going to get, because just look at that thing. And now look at Linda Carter riding on that thing. Speaking of Linda Carter, it's nice to see her not only make a cameo in this film, but also play an actual character in the film. I didn't expect that at all. I know she was going to be in this movie somewhere, I just had a feeling, but I didn't expect her to play a major character in this. So yeah, even though it's only for a bit. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I really like about this film, but there is a sense in me that the mentality of the situation is that Warner Brothers was just like, so Patty Jenkins, as you may know, Wonder Woman was very successful, so can you make us another one? Sure. And so we got this film. But either way, it's still a pretty enjoyable film. It's structured really well for me, so yeah, it's a pretty good film overall. And a nice follow-up, I guess, to Wonder Woman, even though it technically isn't. So yeah, that's all for my opinions on Wonder Woman 1984. So with that said, alright guys and gals, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. So yeah, this is technically going to be the last 2020 video for Super Neo Rocket. And yeah, what a way to end it off, right? So yeah, of course we're gonna make more videos later on next year, in the year 2021. Why do I feel like that year has some kind of significance to me? Oh well, and that's pretty much it for me. So until then, rock it on. 2021. Three, two. Let's see. Maybe if I go date edit, oldest, Lightning McQueen.